I wanted to step in quick before the video starts to say thank you so much for 50 subscribers. I am so grateful anyone even watches these videos, let alone 50 plus people would decide to subscribe. I won't take up any more time. Thank you. Goosebumps, the scariest series in children's literature. I've taken it upon myself to summarize every Goosebumps story ever told, in the hopes that we all come out knowing a bit more about the things that go bump in the night. Not just the stories, but their adaptations too. So if you're ready, viewer beware, you're in for a scare, as we dive into book number 8, The Girl Who Cried Monster. First is our 1993 Jacobus cover. We have a girl in the background looking at some balding librarian about to eat a fly. Well, that's not normal. He better not eat that poor turtle in there. Our taglines here are, she's got the monster of all problems. And on the back we have, she's telling the truth, but no one believes her. Next up is the 1994 UK cover. This girl on the cover is screaming her head off. These books spinning around her must be terrifying. Next up is the 2005 print. Of course, same illustration, but with a nice blue border. Lastly, here's the reprint from 2024, extremely recent. Of course, it follows the trend of the modern reprints, the boring trend, where they just zoom in the original artwork. Brandon Dorman stopped illustrating after Slappy World, so instead of Robert Ball drawing these, it's just the same thing again, with some altered text, no bumps, no slime. To make a short showcase even shorter, The Girl Who Cried Monster has never been collected. Well, not yet. I haven't brought them up before, but a fourth one of these collector tins will be released in July. I never bring them up because the books inside are almost exactly the same as the original prints, but with no bumpiness. Funny enough, every book in this tin has a classic print, and 3 of them just got these boring reprints. But with the covers out of the way, time for the summary. So our main character this time is Lucy Dark, age 12, lives with her brother Randy, age 6, in a strange town called Timbaland Falls. Obviously from the title, you could tell it mimics The Boy Who Cried Wolf. The story makes this clear right away too. The general gist is that Lucy loves to scare her brother with stories of monsters constantly, so she makes a comment from the future that no one believed her when she saw a real one. Lucy exposits a bunch of what I assume is unnecessary information. Her and Randy have long black hair, pale skin, the house is red brick, there's a neighbor who never trims this hedge, whatever. So Lucy is like a master of creating monster stories. Even her mom says she might be a writer someday. Sitting in the backyard, she decides to terrorize Randy by telling him about the Timbaland Falls toe biter. The toe biter showed up at the neighbor's house a few summers ago. It's a day monster, like right at this very moment. And he's invisible, so no one can see him. The neighbor girls, Becky and Lila, were swimming in their inflatable pool, and when Becky let her feet dangle out of that thing, the toe biter bit all her toes off. Randy's freaking out. That can't possibly be true. But it is. Look down, Randy. All of Lucy's toes are gone. Though actually Lucy just had her toes buried in the dirt. Randy is so dumb. Well, Randy runs away crying to Mom, but Lucy can't let that happen. She doesn't want to get in trouble again. She gets him to stop by mentioning that she didn't show him the tree monster outside, but that just scares him more. Hilarious. Well, now that Randy's inside, what to do until a shoulder grab? No, not a monster, but Lucy's friend, Aaron Messer. He's the only one of her friends who's stuck around this summer. Poor group of friends, I guess. Well, Lucy starts trying to trick Aaron into thinking Randy ran away because he saw the tree monster. Aaron's sarcastic and annoyed, but goes along with the bit because Lucy just won't stop pestering him. He grabs Lucy a broom, which she uses to try and knock this so-called monster out of the tree. After climbing up a little, she knocks a branch and the monster falls right on top of Aaron. What a twist! It's not actually a monster, but a bird's nest. Still scared Aaron, though. 10 minutes later, Aaron went home and Mom's giving Lucy another lecture. She should be telling Randy to be brave instead of permanently scarring his poor young mind, but Lucy just doesn't understand. Lucy's reminded she has her Reading Rangers meeting at 4, a summer reading program where she reads a book once a week, reports about it to the librarian Mr. Mortman, and she gets a gold star. 6 stars and she gets a prize. Wow! She has to move quick, so she straps on her rollerblades and gets moving. Mortman makes all the kids read classic novels, and she hasn't made much progress on Huckleberry Finn, so she has to fake it. Lucy spends some time talking about how creepy the library is. Apparently some old guy used to own it and donated it to the town when he died, and now it's a library. Creepier than that, though, might be Mr. Mortman himself. One thing Lucy mentions clearly is that his hands are always sopping wet. That is nasty. Not even just his hands, the whole place is wet. He has a metal tray with baby turtles waiting in an inch of water. Calls them his timid friends. Okay. Well, she makes it in time and the report begins. She mentions in her head that she never even picked the book up, but only a few pages ago she said she read 4 chapters. Oh well. Somehow, just lying that her favorite part of the book was the descriptions got her a gold star, and Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. What about the comprehension questions? She thinks reading Frankenstein to Randy might give him a scare. They're both probably too young to even understand what's happening in that book anyway. Lucy almost walks the entire way home until she remembers she left her rollerblades behind. Walking all the way back, it's late afternoon and she's got a bad feeling about this, but heads inside. Any noise in here starts to freak Lucy out a little, but she finds her rollerblades and starts to head outside, until she hears a cough. She can barely see Mr. Mortman in the distance. Curiosity gets the better of her, so she lowers the blades and moves in. She admits that she loves spying on people. Man, everybody here's weird. Getting closer, Mortman is humming and holding some kind of glass jar. Some juicy flies, my timid friends. But just then, Mortman starts changing. His head seems to inflate, his eyes bulge out into stalks, and his mouth a black crevasse of teeth. He starts reaching into the jar and shoving flies by the handful into his mouth. Mr. Mortman is a monster! Lucy runs as fast as she can and gets a block away before catching her breath and having a crisis on if what she saw was even real. Yes, it was. She starts running and then realizes, damn it, I left my rollerblades again. She decides to be brave and go back to get them. She has the smart idea to make a bunch of noise so Mortman will act normal and let her get her blades. Back into the library we go. Except we can't. The door's locked. Easing up to the window, the place is completely dark. I guess Lucy will have to come back tomorrow. Lucy runs back home in the pouring rain, soaked by the time she gets back inside. Mom and Dad are busy rolling meatballs together. Lucy keeps trying to tell them that Mortman's a monster, but they just laugh and tell her to get changed. Lucy's so angry that she starts doubting what she even saw. Of course, the trope of parents not believing kids is integral to this plot, but at least it has a reason to happen this time. At dinner, Lucy brings up that she chose to read Frankenstein, which both her and her parents reduced to just being a book about monsters. Oh well. After dinner, Randy actually begs Lucy to tell him more about Mr. Mortman. She tells him everything, and he's horrified. Somehow, Dad heard that, and he's been described as an aggressive man with a booming voice before, so he's angry. Well, Lucy's angry too. She's gonna have to prove it to everyone. It's next week and time for another Reading Rangers meeting. On her way there, Lucy stops at Aaron's house for what feels like a bad product placement bit. He's throwing this blue frisbee attached to a rubber band. Lucy's confused by it, and Aaron's like, haven't you seen the commercials? It's a one-person frisbee. You throw it and it comes back to you. Lucy thinks it's dumb. You can't play with other people. And just leaves. What a weird aside. I spent maybe 10 minutes trying to figure out what the hell this thing is, but it might not even be real. The closest thing I can find description-wise is skip it, but obviously you can't throw that. Anyway, Lucy makes it to the library just as another girl named Ellen Borders is getting done. Will she be important? I don't know. If her name shows up on the right, she will be. For now, she's 3 books ahead of her, so Lucy calls her a show-off. How rude! Lucy actually enjoyed Frankenstein enough to read half the book, but the type was so tiny she didn't finish it. Unfortunately, she didn't really get any of the messaging. Half trying to provoke Mortman, she says her favorite part was the monster. And wouldn't it be great if monsters were real? Mortman says no, people would prefer their scares to come from movies or books than real life. Asking if monsters could exist, Mortman dodges again by turning the question into, can someone like Victor create a monster in real life? Which is no. We are bringing back the woolly mammoth, and we brought back direwolves. Damn it, we can do it if we try. Mortman assigns Lucy Anne of Green Gables and sends her on her way, but she isn't leaving just yet. Her plan is to wait out in the dark and try and catch Mortman in the act. Unfortunately, this isn't the modern age, so she can't just take a video. Another thing against her plan is that an old lady and her granddaughter came into the library just now. Lucy crams herself into a bookshelf and waits it out. After a few minutes, they leave and Mortman starts turning out the lights. Lucy gets out and goes to catch Mortman in the act, but he's not at his desk. Was that him locking the doors? Oh no, she's locked in with him. Why would the doors be locked from the inside and you couldn't unlock them yourself? Maybe Mortman just lives here and you need a key. Well, Lucy's plan got ruined real fast, but damned if she doesn't still try to prove her suspicions. She shimmies over to where she can see his room and Mortman's just doing some boring stuff. Stacking books, cleaning up some pencils. Maybe Lucy is crazy. Oh, but hold on, he's going for the fly jar. And he's got the turtle sheet. Dinner time, my timid friends. He grabs that fly jar again and starts going crazy. 3 handfuls this time. Some even try to fly away, but Mortman's hands are surprisingly quick. As if 3 handfuls wasn't enough, he reaches into the pan and grabs one of the baby turtles, and he crunches the thing. Fun fact, apparently Stein's original manuscript was going to have him eat children, but that's too gross, man, so these poor turtles have to suffer. Lucy's got to run. She grabs the door handle, but oh shit, yeah, the door was locked, and now she hears Mortman's footsteps behind her. Lucy's freaking out. Oh no, what to do? She's trapped. Or is she? This is when she finally realizes that if a door is locked from the inside without a key, she can open it. So she does, and runs off yet again. Mortman stands in the doorway confused, and Lucy sprints to Aaron's house. His rubber band frisbee is all tangled up, and Lucy desperately tries to tell him about Mortman, but he isn't buying it. He's got no time for these stories when his amazing toy is all tangled up. Lucy leaves right then, furious. How could her best friend not believe her? I wonder why. She runs home and yells for Mom and Dad, but they aren't here. Randy says they went shopping. Still angry, Lucy heads to her room to cool down, but she stops. A big hairy monster is smiling at her under the covers. The creature giggles at her. But no, that was actually Randy. You see, the monster under the bed was actually just a brown ball of yarn with a papier-mâché face that Randy made in art class. Pretty cool, right? No, it is not. Lucy saw a real monster, and she tells Randy about what happened. A glimmer of belief, but nah, you're just jealous my yarn ball fooled you. Back to watching cartoons. A knock on the door means Lucy can finally tell Mom and Dad. But oh no, it's not them, but Mr. Mortman. Thoughts run through Lucy's mind. Oh God, he already sees me. He knows. He knows. The sun's going down. My parents aren't home. Why did I say that? I didn't come to see your parents. I came to see you, Lucy. He knows. Lucy, I believe this belongs to you. Turns out Lucy left her backpack at the library. Mortman doesn't actually live at the library, so he's returning it on his way home. How nice. They then have this awkward conversation where Mortman asks if she stayed after closing, and we're unsure if he's prodding for her to confess or if he actually just doesn't know who was there. Lucy lies and says she would be scared to get locked in there, and Mortman agrees. Maybe he isn't lying. A monster can get scared too. Well, Mortman heads home just as Mom and Dad arrive. Lucy tries to tell Mom about Mortman being a monster, but nope. Go help your father with the groceries. Of course, at dinner, Lucy tries again, but Mom and Dad just accuse her of wanting to get out of reading Rangers. This leads to a big argument, and Lucy goes to her room. So Lucy finally realizes, maybe I really did lean too hard into those fake monster stories. I need another witness. Aaron. He's a no-nonsense guy. Mom and Dad have to believe him. She calls him right away, and he thinks the idea is pretty dumb. $5? Well, why didn't you say so? So most of the next day, Lucy goes over her perfect plan until the afternoon. Her and Aaron will sneak into the library, hide in those cramped shelves, spy on Mortman, and instead of running away, they hide in the shelves again and just wait till Mortman leaves. Easy! She's so anxious that she goes to Aaron's house an hour early, but then it all comes crashing down. Aaron's not home. His little brother Bert lets Lucy know he's getting braces right now. What a jerk! How could he betray her like this? No idea. Lucy actually has a nice camera that she got for Christmas. Crossing my fingers right now, expecting a flash photography incident with this plan of hers. She grabs the camera that's got about 8 shots left in the film and heads to the library. Well, damn, it's actually pretty busy here. How's she supposed to hide now? Someone's even using the microfiche machine. Do libraries even have those anymore? Somehow Lucy manages to find an old cabinet in the back, and she stays there all the way till 5:15 when she hears Mortman lock the doors. It's monster time. Just not yet. Mortman just keeps stacking books on the shelves. This is taking forever. He even puts some books away on the shelf right next to her. Lucy has another crisis in thought. What a bad idea. I need to run. What if he hears the shutter? Her thoughts are interrupted by Mortman grabbing the jar of flies. It's time. Mortman transforms and starts eating. He's humming loudly. A perfect time to take the shot. But then Mortman snaps around. He's grabbing something else. A jar of moths? A new snack. He starts eating again and Lucy snaps the photo. The Flash! Who could have expected this one? Mortman screams out in anger, but luckily for Lucy, the light seems to have blinded his monstrous eyeballs. Scared stiff, Lucy wills herself to start moving, but she bumps into a cart. The camera slips out of her hands. She's trapped! Her foot gets caught in the cart, and the monster is just a few yards away. With a struggle, Lucy manages to get out, and grabs her camera before heading towards the door. She gets out of there as fast as she can and runs into Dad right as he's getting home. She pleads endlessly that she wants this film to get developed, initially keeping the contents a secret. Mom says that they're going out for dinner tonight. Aha! How about the Chinese food place at the mall? Then she can leave her photo at the developing place at the same mall. How crazy the technology from just a decade after would make digital photography so much easier. Randy complains about the food the entire time, spilling water everywhere, and Lucy just daydreams about all the cool stuff she'll get when her family finally believes her. After that, Lucy zooms up impatiently to the photo place. $14 to get her photos. My, how times have changed. She pulls open the envelope and goes through the photos. Randy's birthday, more birthday. Aha! The last one. But when she sees what's on the photo, she gasps. It's empty. The room's perfectly clear, but Mortman isn't in the photo at all. He must be a monster. He just doesn't show up in photos. Mom and Dad are just concerned. Randy wants ice cream. The next evening, Lucy's practically dragged Aaron to the library. She feels betrayed. He couldn't help his appointment, though. Lucy's banned from mentioning Mortman or monsters at all, so Aaron is the last person she can rely on. He wants to say something, but he finally realizes she might be serious. The plan is to follow Mortman home. Aaron asks why he can't just say he believes her. Good idea. Somehow, Mortman never sees the kids following him, and they make it all the way to his little house. All the windows are a bit too high for them, but they manage to find a wheelbarrow. With Aaron's help, Lucy awkwardly stands on the thing and gets a good view inside that looks through this big aquarium, but Mortman's staring right at her. Startled so bad, Lucy falls and lands hard. Maybe he was just looking at the aquarium that was perfectly placed right in front of the window. Time to try again. Lucy manages to get herself up to the window and notice Mortman looking right at the aquarium. He begins to change yet again, gulping down fish and crunching snails. Oh wait, Aaron. The whole purpose was for him to see this shit. But wait, where'd he go? Lucy starts to panic, but Aaron shows up again. He was just trying to find a ladder so that he could look too. Lucy tries to lower herself so that Aaron can look, but the wheelbarrow shifts, and she falls right onto the side of it, nearly knocking the wind out of her. At the sound of this happening, Mortman looks down at her from the window. She yells for Aaron to help her up, but he's already running to the street. Despite the pain, Lucy gets herself up and starts to move towards the street. But then we get another classic shoulder grab. She could feel his nasty, wet hands on her shoulders, but he's not a monster. He changed back so fast. Through the pain, she needs to come up with an excuse. I'll be late for reading Rangers tomorrow, and I didn't know if you were home, so I was looking through the window to look for you. Did he believe it? Maybe. He's more concerned why she walked the whole way here, and not why she even knows where he lives. He offers to let Lucy come in and call her parents, but she is not taking that gamble. With enough refusal, Lucy gets to walk off. It's getting darker outside, and more hands grab her shoulders. Oh no! But it's Aaron this time. He was waiting for her. He was about to call the police. Unfortunately, he never saw Mortman. Not even his monster form. Great. Now what? The next day, Mom calls Lucy a quitter and forces her to go to reading Rangers. She doesn't care if he's a werewolf. She is going. Luckily, there's some actual people at the library. He wouldn't do anything with people here. At his desk, he seems pretty calm. Maybe he did believe her story. When she notices all the people checking out books are gone, Mortman says he'll be right back. Mr. Mortman, you locked the doors. Yes, he knows why Lucy was at his house last night, and she can't be allowed to leave. Oh, that's not good. Mortman reaches out to grab Lucy, but she swings her backpack as hard as she can at his stomach. It knocks him back momentarily, so she runs right into a corner. It's all over. Somehow the card catalog tips over, and Mortman's instincts as a librarian come before keeping his identity a secret. He has to put the cards back in order. Lucy runs outside in the pouring rain but stops. Is that Aaron? Yeah, it is. He was actually hiding in the library that whole time, and he saw everything. Great! When they get to Lucy's house, Aaron backs up her story and Mom and Dad finally believe her. Well, there's only one thing left to do. Invite him over for dinner. A few days later, the time finally comes. Mortman arrives with flowers, dressed in his best, but he seems nervous, even more than Lucy at some points. After talking for a while, he kindly asks, "What's for dinner?" "You are!" Mom and Dad pounce onto Mortman, devouring his entire body in less than a minute. Lucy and Randy laugh. They haven't developed their fangs yet. Apparently, there hasn't been a monster in town for 20 years. That's why it was so hard to believe her. Mom explains they had to do it, because no other monsters can be allowed in town. That would scare people, and they like living here. Later that night, Lucy's back to telling Randy bedtime stories, this time about an evil librarian grabbing a poor kid named Randy. What an ending! This is the first of what I can remember at least quite a few fantastical twist endings. Usually before this, our endings would be, oh, you thought the story was resolved, but no it isn't. Now the whole family has been the monster this whole time. It changes the entire context of the story, in some ways that don't even make much sense. Like, if the entire family knew they were monsters already, why not just talk to each other about the fact that another monster showing up would be unheard of, rather than go on this wild goose chase? And why is Randy scared of monsters anyway? You would think a kid who knows he's a monster would have some inflated ego based on his own power. I mean, Jesus, Mom and Dad ate Mortman in under a minute. The bones, too. It's another ending that might get you thinking. What's the history of monsters in the world? Are they generally unknown to humankind? Will Lucy ever tell Aaron the truth? Will Lucy ever realize that reading is a great thing to do? Obviously, the book is pretty repetitive. It's mainly just Lucy running back and forth from the library in fear. At least the whole "parents don't believe me" is the purpose of the story, and not just an annoyance. The last book with an ending this intriguing was Let's Get Invisible, but the rest of that book was not very entertaining. This one's just better. No other way to describe it. But that's not all. We've got an episode to watch. Let's see what changes. Lucy starts by narrating just like she does in the book, and we go right into the toe biter story. The kid playing Randy is putting his all into screaming like a maniac. He's a bit dumber in this version too. When Lucy reveals her toes are just fine, he asks how they grew back. Dumbass. Mom sends Lucy off to reading Rangers, and she was assigned Black Beauty this time instead of Huckleberry Finn. She even read the book this time, so instead of lying about what she liked, she says it needs more monster stuff. She grabs Frankenstein and Aaron happens to be there grabbing books too. Let me just mention now that Eugene Lipinski does a great job portraying Mortman, though I guess he's not as fat and wet as we're told he is in the book. Of course, I don't mention it much, but most of the main characters never look exactly right. Lucy and Randy are supposed to have black hair, Aaron isn't black in the book. I don't mention it because it doesn't matter. Obviously, if they look accurate, it's nice, but unless someone looking different actually matters to the story, who cares? Unlike the book, where Lucy passive-aggressively mentions how cool it would be if monsters were real after she saw Mortman change, Aaron just says it now out of the blue. Mortman gives the same retort about that not being a good thing and stamps this book real aggressive. They do mention his hands being all slimy, but it sure didn't look like that way. Lucy heads back to get her missing rollerblades and oh shit! Instead of flies, turtles, and the occasional moth, Mortman's breeding crickets and tarantulas this time. He starts eating them before even changing. I mean, who's to judge a man for... Okay, I get it, I'll go. The family's still making meatballs, and we even get some references like Lucy saying,
"Life is a phase I'm going through,"
or Dad making the meatballs too big. Lucy calls Aaron, but he doesn't believe her either, so she grabs her little pink camera and is on the case. She fakes leaving the library and it's time for the feeding. He even eats a tarantula this time. She takes the photo and of course the flash is on again. He's not even blinded, and he immediately knows it's Lucy. No mystery there. He's not really urgent to catch her either. Lucy's on a light jog and this place is like a labyrinth. Mortman just keeps dropping one-liners and Lucy manages to just get away.
Keep running, little one. I love fast food. You're just making me hungrier. Dinner is served. You can't get away from me, you little cricket.
She calls Aaron and he's like, "You know your library card has your address on it for some reason, right? You might come over right now." And he does. Lucy does a terrible job trying to act like her parents are home. She even says,
"Mom, is Dad still cleaning his rifle?"
Mortman's still trying to give her the backpack, and this scene is a lot weirder now because they both clearly know it was her and that he's a monster. Whatever. Lucy begs to go to the photo shop. No Chinese food this time. Randy smacks the photos because he's a little bitch, and Mortman interrupts Lucy picking them up. Weird. So what else but to invite him for dinner? Of course, Lucy shows the photo and Mortman isn't in it. I almost forgot about that during the intermission, by the way. They never bring that up again. I guess monsters just don't appear in photos. Technically, Randy's a monster and he's in all the birthday photos. Maybe it's part of becoming an adult monster? I don't even know. Time for dinner. Give Mortman an awkward meatball. What's for dinner? You are. Mom and Dad are snake people. Rah! But hold on. There's another monster. Oh, it's just Aaron in a mask.
"What's for dessert?"
Well, it was going to be a surprise, but since you asked...
You like cherry pie?
"Sure."
This episode was really quite accurate. Other than what was cut, the main plot and a lot of the dialogue was completely spot on. Goes to show it's not that hard to make an accurate show when you actually try to do it. Of course, we lose a bit of the inner turmoil of Lucy being scared of Mortman, but inner thoughts are just hard to convey in shows and movies. Mortman's food of choice was crickets and tarantulas instead of flies, turtles, and moths. Not very different, but it must have been much easier to pull off when filming. I'd be remiss not to mention that amazing addition at the end. Another monster fake out with Aaron, and then another fake out with the cherry pie like they were going to eat him. It's pretty good. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. It makes my day to see people enjoy this hyperfixation of mine, so I'll see you in 2 weeks for the next book. Welcome to Camp Nightmare.